looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all.
Yo. Yo. Let's make sure I'm not getting no feedback real quick, guys. Alright, let's make sure. Alright, it doesn't look like there's any feedback coming back. If there is, somebody let me know. We have successfully rated Leafy Waz channel. You guys go check him out as you file into my channel. We'll host him for a little bit here during this raid. But how you guys doing? My name is Heero, and I am the author illustrator. Shout out to the two people that just joined the group. To these two strangers. My name is Heero. I'm the author illustrator of the Strangers comic book. And we're gonna get in here and do a little bit of drawing, alright, man? Let's my commitment to you guys is I draw constantly throughout these periods, but I'm gonna always dedicate 1 hour of drawing for your enjoyment. So you guys can see that thing called growth. Boy, it's important to have growth. And new chapter of Boku no Hero did drop, so we could talk about that, but I don't know. I'm just sort of I'm feeling pretty lethargic, so I'm just gonna get down to the get down. I don't know if I want to talk about anything. Let's see if I can hear anything. The Young Turk calling it already. R.I.P. Sean Connery. I'm sorry. The UK is going back into lockdown. It's tragic. All right, let's hear about Boku no Hero. I'm not even gonna talk. I'm just listening to this. So if you guys are listening, you guys get a sneak peek into that. But I'm drawing right now. But I can skip ads.
Nejire and Shoto versus Shigaraki? I'm down for this.
Alright, before we do that, let's see how far.
It's Truth Heero, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia chapter review. So Boku no Hero Academia chapter 289 in the manga. We'll talk about the current state of Shigaraki and how he's even still fighting at this point, as well as our other battle between Uraraka and Toga. Let's dive in. The chapter opens with Nejire asking about people on the hospital side and advising people on what to do. She also asks Ingenium, why did you come to this side to fight? You can't float. Do not sleep on Nejire. Not that anyone would, but we're about to see her put in work against the villains. And we're about to see what a member of the Big Three, the closest to the pros, is actually capable of in a situation that really demands it. First, someone like Shigaraki. Ida promises to accompany Nejire and says that there are still 3 of his classmates who have not come back. 2 of them that set me right. They are my friends. Ida has got to help them out, no matter what. I really like the idea that Ida gets to return the favor to Deku and Shoto because they saved him when he got a little bit too carried away on revenge versus the hero killer. I've wanted to see more of him and give him more of a chance to shine in some arc because we really haven't seen too much since then from Ida. So this is good. We get to see Ingenium at his top speed, at his best performance yet. Speaking of helping out your friends and your classmates, Deku and Bakugo are currently falling from the sky, and who's there to save them? Shoto catches both of them while still holding on to Endeavor somehow. They have a rough landing, but I can't state this enough. I've said it before in previous chapter reviews. Shoto, props to you. Kudos. You're arriving on time and you're helping everyone out.
We need to find a reference for this picture.
Like we see in this chapter, Shoto's going to have a bigger role here. Bakugo, Deku, they've both done a lot. Might be Shoto's time. Shoto quickly makes sure that everyone's okay and says, guys, I'm going to treat your wounds. You're going to be fine. But how is Shoto going to do this when Shigaraki's still attacking? Well, when he's sort of still attacking. Shigaraki is still hearing All For One's voice, and he's saying, Tomura, no, you can't do this. You must retreat. And Tomura, of course, still struggles against his former master. This is his time to shine. This is his way. Let me do this. I do not know how Shigaraki's still standing and still fighting, sort of. Even the most determined character in this story, Deku, is on the ground and can barely move. Bakugo is too, but that's understandable. He has a massive wound. What do you guys think here? Is Shigaraki going too far? And could he actually lose because of his stubbornness? Could he lose because he can't cut his losses because he wants to be him and wants to do it his way? Should Shigaraki retreat here? I think that that Shigaraki should retreat, and in fact he should have done this a long time ago, should have cut his losses way early on, maybe not even attack the heroes until his body had settled those quirks. This does provide one interesting thing about Shigaraki, and it shows his determination and his drive to tear down Hero Society. Right now, if Shigaraki wants the dream of tearing down Hero Society and Deku wants to save it, well, who's left standing? Shigaraki is. So right now, even though there isn't a physical victory yet, there's casualties on either side, Shigaraki has won the sort of philosophical victory. He's still standing, he's still chasing his goal. Meanwhile, Deku, the hero that's supposed to be the parallel to Shigaraki's villainy, is on the ground. Luckily, he's got friends that are going to show up, but still, I gotta give Shigaraki props. He may be stubborn, he may have the mind of a child that just wants what he wants and doesn't want to listen to anyone, but he is the only one that's sticking to his dream. Then again, as much as I love Shigaraki's desperate attempt here and his spider stance with the all-for-one tendrils, how is he going to go up against our heroes like Nejire Hado and her incredible wave powers? Ida quickly rushes onto the scene and tells everyone, guys, there's a huge villain coming this way. And Shoto tells Ida, get the casualties out of the way so we can fight. The fact that Ida, Shoto, and Nejire and these heroes now have a fighting chance against Shigaraki, who's in a weakened state, is amazing, and it's a hopeful outcome. But Gigantomachia is still coming. He's running towards them. Is there any way that the heroes can overcome this? More interesting here is that Deku's still trying to move and fight, and he says, I gotta stick to Shigaraki, and Shigaraki is still after me like he is Kacchan and Endeavor. I do wonder if Deku is somehow still connected to Shigaraki's mind through All for One and One for All. But regardless of any connection here, imagine how frustrated Deku is right now. He can barely move, and he's done all he can, but Shigaraki's still standing. Well, don't worry, Midoriya. I think Shoto's got this round. We've seen Bakugo get some nice screen time here, and we've certainly seen Deku get the spotlight in this arc. No surprise, he's the main character. So I'm very excited that Shoto gets some glory here. We're going to have a chance to see what Shoto can do. He was helping out at the hospital, and really, we were all asking, where's Shoto in this? Because we could use him. Well, now is the time for Shoto to shine. And like he noted, Shigaraki's regeneration is really slowed down. So right now, the heroes like him, Ida, and Nejire, they really do have a chance, barring Gigantomachia. Nejire has shown how powerful she is in previous arcs. We know she can take on big villains, and as a bonus she can float, making her the ideal candidate to face Shigaraki, and maybe even Gigantomachia if he shows up late and maybe in a tired or fatigued state. Her, along with Shoto's ice and fire, is a very lethal offensive combination, so I think the heroes have a good chance here. Do you guys think Shoto and Nejire can actually take down Shigaraki? I think they can, and I think this war arc could be coming to an end very soon. The problem I see is that Gigantomachia will arrive at some point, and while Nejire and Shoto may be able to defeat Shigaraki and subdue him, Gigantomachia won't be so easy. I don't know if they stand a chance against him, even if he is in a tired or fatigued state. What I really see happening is Shoto and Nejire do get the better of Shigaraki, maybe with Ida's help, but then Gigantomachia sees his master and pulls him to safety, and they actually do retreat like All for One is saying. And then how do you even attempt to go after Gigantomachia? You don't really. That's also the only way that this series can kind of continue. They can't just really capture Shigaraki here. It'd be too easy. I mean, where's the threat anymore? But now, to the other battle. Uraraka versus Toga. Uraraka is thinking of a way where she can touch Toga and make her float without spilling any blood. Yeah, good luck. And Toga is telling Uraraka all about how she loves to become like the people she likes, literally by transforming into them. But there's more to this. Toga begins to recount her encounter with Curious and tells Uraraka, I used your blood to transform into you and then used your zero-gravity quirk to raise Curious to great heights and drop her to her death. And, what did I feel? Oh, complete elation. Bro, imagine if you're Uraraka for a second. First, you just found out that Toga can not only transform using people's blood, but that she can also use your quirk. And she used your heroic quirk to kill someone, and she really enjoyed it. I mean, what do you say to that? It's like you find out that someone committed a crime while impersonating you and believed that they were closer to you while doing that act. And you guys have sympathy for Toga. They both begin to exchange attacks, and it actually looks to me like Toga may have cut Uraraka with her blood needle tube things. I'm not sure. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys saw here, but the panel sort of zooms in on Uraraka's side, and there's sort of a piece missing out of her costume. I don't know if that was the signal that Toga cut her, or maybe it's opening up for Uraraka to do something. But regardless, Toga picks up the action figure that Uraraka drops, and it's the one that Deku gave her. As if there weren't enough parallels between our waifus here, Toga notes how Uraraka likes Deku just as much as she does. Too bad Toga will never use Deku's quirk no matter how much she likes him. Uraraka then shows off a new super move or technique called Zero Satellites, in which she attaches ropes to weightless objects, swings them around, and I assume right before they make impact, gives them weight and gravity again. This has the potential to do a lot of damage. I like it. It's a very creative way to use her quirk. Uraraka says that given everything Toga has just told her, she feels a sense of responsibility for Toga's actions. I don't think Uraraka should feel this way. I understand it, and it's definitely personal between these two, but I don't think Uraraka should feel that she has to be the one to stop Toga. Sure, she doesn't want Toga to do any more. I mean, she's a hero, she gotta stop a villain, but I don't think Uraraka should take all the responsibility.
We, the American people, have never shied from a challenge.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We're watching old ideas crumble, just as new ones struggle to emerge. But out of chaos comes change and opportunity. This November, we can take action on climate and create millions of good-paying jobs. We can build a fair economy that is both flourishing and just. And we can honor the Americans lost to violence by rejecting division and moving with resolve toward peace. America has always grown and thrived from reinvention. In this election, we can choose the nation we want to be. The Republicans know that, and they're scared. That's why they're doing everything they can to stop your vote, to silence you. But they're not in charge. We are. Fair elections are the heart of American democracy, and we're going to count every single vote.
That's really up to the Supreme Court, but okay.
Don't let the attention to detail lead you to believe that a Honda is a delicate machine. You'd be wrong. Underneath every surface that carries a Honda badge, there has always been the capacity to amaze. Rise to the challenge with the rugged performance of the Honda Pilot, Passport, and Ridgeline.
Luckily, Uraraka does not have to do this alone. Just as Toga's gearing up for her final attack on Uraraka, Froppy sends her flying. Dang, Froppy. What'd that tongue do? Apparently it's strong enough to make Toga lose all of her knives. Well done, Kermit. Well done. Just as soon as it starts, it ends. Toga is gone. She's gotten her answer, and she's returning to the League of Villains. Uraraka notes that she's not hiding to attack us. She ran away. But also, she was crying. Toga had hoped to talk to Uraraka about love and the person they both like. I guess that just can't happen since Uraraka is a devoted hero and she has to stop villains. I get the sense that Toga, maybe all she wanted to be is a normal girl, and maybe her desire was just for the people she liked. I feel kinda sad about this. Toga's desire for blood and people is an offshoot of her quirk, but what if all Toga really wanted was a girlfriend, or a group of girls that she could hang out and talk about normal teenage stuff with, like love and boys and makeup or whatever. And what if all she wanted on the other side was Deku, a boyfriend? Something that she clearly can't have because she just attacks the people she likes. I'm not sympathetic to Toga. I don't think she can become a...
Sounds like you are.
Let's not forget that she's not only killed people, but she's impersonated people while doing it. I mean, she even we assume, killed this old lady just to hide from Uraraka and lure her into this trap. So I don't think she has a chance for redemption, really, but it's just another tragic backstory among the villains. What do you guys think about this? Can Toga heal, or in any sense, leave her villainous ways and become a normal girl? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. But before we go, we do know that Gigantamakia is getting bigger, if he wasn't already big enough. And Dabi's looking at this like, this fiending to be a good fight. So, can Shoto and Nejire and maybe even Ida get it done? Can they subdue Shigaraki and hold out against Gigantamakia? Also, why is Dabi smirking like that? Is it finally his time to confront Endeavor? Are we finally getting Toya Todoroki backstory? Let me know your thoughts and theories down below in the comments. If you like My Hero Academia content and these chapter reviews, consider enrolling at UA today by subscribing. And until next time, hero or villain, plus ultra.
I don't think you can say plus ultra to evil people. Yeah, that's been Boku no Hero's review. $365 promise. Hoi, hoi, hoi. Oh man, my drop frames. My Wi-Fi is struggling. Hopefully it pulls itself back together. Yeah, my Wi-Fi has been dropping out. It's because the wind's been blowing out here. Getting kind of strong. To be expected. That's not a stinted look. I don't know what is. Your artwork should evolve with your skill set. These weren't things I planned on putting in at first. But now that we're here, we're going to do it. Let's go up here. Beach. I might need a second reference. Oh no, they're just black. Alright, cool. Oh, 6 frames. Shit. We're losing. No, 7. Looks like I'm experiencing internet connection issues. We're making it. We're doing alright. We're doing alright. We know what color these are, so let's just do this really quick. Paint bucket. It's actually gray. It's pans. Risky. 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 Let's make these pans. Deeds. I was sitting here thinking, like, why is he outside? But then I just remembered why he's outside. Why he gets stopped outside. It makes sense now. Yo, I'm horrible. Making fun of my friend. Friends online. Try to give you warnings, but everyone ignored me. Told you everything loud and clear, but nobody's listening. Spoke to you so clearly, but you don't want to hear me. Told you everything loud and clear. Get back, get back. Screaming out, boy, what the is that? Yeah. Hot soup.
Last couple of weeks because I've regularly seen. That's what's up. How many people we're gonna get? We got 2 people already. All right, we got 2. We'll talk to 2 people. I am here. 2152. Okay, we have to 52. Let's see who says hello first. Happy Halloween. That's what's up. Thank you from. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's on the screen. The mountain sleeps. We're at 228.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it goes up pretty quick.
Wow.
Am I going to share it anywhere? No, I'm going to let just whoever shows up tonight. Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This, I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. This is my wife, Jada, and hey, what's going on, Greg? Greg's a dope young man with a up-and-coming podcast.
Okay.
Platypi, okay, says your wife is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I married up. I always like overachieved in my relationships, but I outdid myself with you.
Well, you're welcome.
I used to have to fix it up real quick.
This should be interesting.
Oh, how many we got? We got 653 people. Thank you, yo boy Wood McGee said he loves my input and my thinking. Happy Halloween to everyone. Gail on Facebook. Cashville is in the house. All right. Wayne May is in the house. Andy from Ohio, regular, says hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Now, we don't want to start like this, but we're gonna do it so the microphone can actually pick up both of us. So we don't want to start like that. Y'all think we, trying to do the most. We're not trying to do the most. We're really just trying to make the microphone pick us up.
It's 12 o'clock.
I guess we are doing the most.
Exactly.
Uh-oh, Dorothy. Opinionated MBW says we're adorable.
Thank you.
Gina said, yes, you married up. You're beautiful, Mrs. Dixon.
Thank you.
I happen to
Special.
think that I'm not bad looking myself, but I absolutely outdid myself. I did outdo myself. But you gotta shoot for the stars. Why not? Okay, so hello from Canada, Margaret.
Hello.
So we did a list tonight. So what's going on is we are married and we have 3 kids.
Yes.
And we are business partners.
Yes.
And the reason we're business partners is because you are better with details and I am better with just cut on a mic and I flow and I just do it, and you know what, I better keep up with the super chats now because I didn't tell my producers we were doing this, and if I don't keep up with them now, it's gonna be so here's a super chat saying beautiful wife, and yes, Gregory's podcast is 10 out of 10. That's love. I love cross-pollinating. So we're business partners too, and you help me, you manage me basically. I mean, you don't manage me, but you're my partner.
No, absolutely. You have full autonomy to be who you are. I realized that early on in our marriage.
Hold on, Nick. She said that explains why the kids are so beautiful. I would have you know the kids look like me. We just happen to look like each other. She's the prettier version, obviously.
They're starting to look like me, but at birth I always questioned, like, what did I contribute
Dixon genes are strong.
Very strong.
Like all of my sisters' kids look like my sisters, and my brother's kids. Well, actually, no. My brother's kids are a mix between he and his wife. I think it's a pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that family line got a strong bloodline too. Hey, Tanika. So anyway, let's get back to you, because you're not my manager in the sense of, because I don't think about that in terms of like you're not having control. I think about that in the sense of like if you were my manager, that would mean that you work for me. You don't work for me. We work for each other. Yeah.
Agreed.
No, you were saying.
I don't remember.
Oh, about me being my own boss.
No, yeah, so
Pat me on the back a little bit. No.
Ben has full autonomy in what he does from a creative aspect. And understanding that I am the structure, I am the policies and procedure of the business that allows him to do what he does every day, morning, noon, and night.
All day, every day. All day, every day. What is that? I don't even know what meme I'm thinking of. And honestly, like I look at you to be the person to keep me from getting roped off by the feds for taxes and stuff. And so we were talking tonight. We were just having our impromptu business meeting, and we try to have standing business meetings.
Yeah.
And one thing we both have in common that I think and we decided to talk to you all because we think what we have to say is probably going to help some other people.
Absolutely. I think if we had the same issues,
right?
We would have appreciated
if somebody
someone
said
else
it to us.
Say, okay, these are some steps you need to take.
So we have our marriage. Let's start with business.
Okay.
And then we'll end with marriage.
Okay.
Right? Or do we start with marriage and go to business? What do you want to do first?
Because we ended with business.
That's where it's freshest in our head.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna start with business, and we're only doing this because it literally was like we have these flashpoints where we grow up, and somebody called us both late bloomers. I don't know if I agree with that so much because we're still pretty young, relatively speaking, and I think we're coming to our own. And so we had a growing up moment tonight where we looked at each other and we were like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z going forward in our business because if we don't, then we'll go back to whence we came."
Exactly. And ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time. So the reason we're going to talk about marriage too is because as we talked about our business tonight, it had direct implications on our marriage because if we don't do our business right, we're going to end up going back to where we came from. Right? And so as we're talking business tonight, she and I have the same problem.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, and that's probably why we get along so well, but people always mistake our kindness for weakness.
Absolutely.
And we want to be kind. We have a natural inclination to make people comfortable. I remember somebody teaching me when I was younger, they were like, the definition of a gentleman, that's probably a TV show. The definition of a gentleman is someone who goes out of his way to make sure other people are comfortable around him. And so I go out of my way. That's why I do a lot of self-deprecation because honestly, like that's why I like we roast. I let people roast me. I roast them back. I joke about myself because it's all about making the environment comfortable. I want people around me to be comfortable.
I feel like they're saying all of this stuff just to say that they're going to like start charging people for shit.
That is our way of saying,
which is cool.
We want to be kind.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, we know how to take care of business, right? And so we both do that, and we both every now and then we run into people where we're like, we have to look at each other and say, guess we can't be kind.
Exactly.
So you have that situation too.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy's on the board.
Yeah, no, I saw her.
Hey, twin.
I don't have a twin. It's a long story, but good friend, FAMU back in the day. So no, yeah, definitely. In addition to that, I believe in giving people grace and mercy. We're all trying to learn whatever it is we're trying to learn, one step at a time. And if I can be helpful or engaging to anybody, I'm that person that if it's somebody sitting on the side that's not talking to anybody, I'll make that a point to go in and make them feel comfortable, to make them feel included, so that they can start to engage. We have a tendency basically to put our feelings to the side and
Think about others first.
think about others
I like
first.
what Beverly said. She said kindness also needs boundaries.
Absolutely. And we're learning that, and I guess we've been learning that for the past
We've learned, but we've also had to learn the hard way. I had
the list.
yeah, we made a list. And we're not going to show you, but we have a list.
Of 26.
26
I'm sorry, 26.
26 things. And here's the title of the list. I would say
He made the list up, just so you know. I mean, he made the title up.
this is the list that we're going to look at every time we sit down across the table from somebody. Because while we want to be kind, at the end of the day, if we don't handle our business right, then the person we hire or the person that we bring into our circle can end up taking us back to the where we came from.
Exactly.
And we ain't going back. We ain't going back. There ain't nothing y'all can do. We are not going back. So I made up a list. We made it together of all the shit we've been through to get here. And this motherfucker across the table wants our money. Now, we need this for us because we have a natural inclination to show a kind face 1st. It's never a face of, oh, you could take advantage of us because I've seen you. Handle business with some of the top academic people on the planet. I've already told him you used to work for Harvard. So she has. You can talk about yourself, or I'll talk about you and you talk about me. I like
No, I
that.
want to talk about myself. Then you can talk about it. No, seriously. So for the past, I've been stay at home, if you will, for the last few years. But prior to that, I worked 8 to 10 years.
Kevin is Darian. Used to hang out with him all the time. Kevin's brother.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Hey. So prior to being here in this space of stay-at-home business partner, prior to that, I worked 8 to 10 years with different universities from South Florida
Boston.
to Boston University, where I had an opportunity to work for Harvard.
Boston. Well, Boston University is a school. That's why.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, in Boston, Massachusetts. Working for Harvard University, and basically, I was dealing with researchers, investigators that had to come through my office
The
to
top
start
folks in the work on the planet.
exactly to start their research. And if it wasn't up to par, there was a no-go. And we're talking about federal money and grant writing and things of that nature. So, I'm sorry, I'm learning. So I have no problem handling business. I have no problem telling anyone no, especially working in that environment. However, we both felt like we wanted to handle our business different. We wanted to be family oriented, if you will, as far as if we're bringing you into our space, we're going to treat you like family. We're going to give you the opportunity to showcase your talents. We'll work through things. We're here, and time again.
And the big thing is like we've come through.
This is so enlightening
We're at this place
because no
now
matter how
where
good I am, I'm still gonna
we
need a
call
partner.
our own
That's
shots.
fucking crazy to see, just to hear
But
this.
getting here has been coming up the rough side of the damn mountain.
Exactly. And if we can,
Doing my best to make it in. Right? We've been coming up the rough side, like dealing with people prior to this stage, and people prior to where we are now, taking
or still want to pay it forward to anybody else who is in a similar business or trying to get ahead or catch up or get started.
Wherever you are.
Wanted to give that, not a hand up.
Yeah, like I didn't have any mentors in this game. None. Always desire to have mentors in this space or in somebody who could point me in the right direction for my life. I remember I was like 26 and I was desperately searching for someone who can help put me on the trajectory. I didn't know the trajectory I wanted to be on, but I knew it was some trajectory, and I couldn't find. And then I just kind of made up my mind. I was like, dude, you're 26. It's time for you to be somebody else's mentor. So I just gave up on having a mentor. And so when we were talking tonight, we were like, you know what, this will help some other people because I remember even before meeting you, right? And this has more to do with remembering everything we went through to be able to be here. And because we're so new here, we're like, we're not going back, y'all. We're not. Okay. So the thing is like I remember having a conversation with my brother. My brothers back before I met you, same apartment where I first met you. So it was like what 12 years ago maybe. And well, no, I was in that apartment for like 2 years before I met you. And me and my brothers had a conversation about how cutthroat the business world is, and I talk to you guys about it all the time, how we reward the worst in humanity, people who could be the most cutthroat, people who could step on other people. And my brothers and I, we had that conversation, and we were like, you know, well, we're just not cut out for that world because that's not the kind of people that we are. Lo and behold, I ended up in politics where it's like, you're going to have to be cutthroat. And then I'm realizing every single day of my life right now, and for the last 6 years plus, has been balancing the cutthroat with who I really want to be, which is kind. But realizing that I got to take out a switchblade every now and then and cut some motherfuckers. And I don't like to do that. I would prefer not to have to do that. But in this political space, I got to do it. And we were talking tonight about just moves that we're trying to make, decisions that we have to make. And it was the same exact analog. It was like, you know, we both have a natural inclination to be kind, but every now and then, we're going to have to pull out these switchblades. No? Oh, that's just me in the politics world.
No, that's everyday life in every situation. It's so. Just say it this way. Ben and I both have different sides of each other, and we've seen those sides.
I think it was we recognized it in each other.
We have those other sides.
That's right.
But to come down from that anger, to come down from that frustration, it's too much. It's too hard. Why do we even have to go there?
Right.
Like, do what you say you're gonna do, and we're cool. And we would rather reside in the space of being kind.
Right.
But people take that kindness
people don't, like,
for weakness.
My experience to date has been my experience coming, like, that's why we made the list. So we're going to share the list with you, because you should have a list.
Absolutely.
Right? You should have a list of all the shit that you've been through to get where you are. Even if you're not where you're going to be. Because we're not where we're going to be.
Absolutely.
No idea where this road leads. We pray it continues to lead down success so that we can continue blessing other people, right? But have your list where you remember all of those flashpoints in your life that you will never forget, and that puts you in a position to never apologize, one, about your success. If you get, and again, at the end, I want to start at the end. Because at the end, we realize that after all we've been through, we still have a desire to do for others and to create opportunities for others. Our entire business model is about giving opportunities to others. making sure that other people can thrive and not being so concerned about how much we make it on the labor of somebody else. Like I live this thing that I talk about. Like I make sure that anybody we are going to have a conversation with about bringing them on, that their labor is well compensated, right? Talent is worthy, in my opinion. And so that's when we talk about success, is not in this bourgeoisie definition of success where we get, and hey, we want y'all to see how much we got, and you can aspire to get. No. It's really about the more we're blessed, the more we're trying to bless other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And before we go down this list, I just want to say we've been talking about this. I guess it's kind of naturally been leading here for the last couple of weeks, because I've regularly said to her that I don't think there's another woman on the face of the planet who could have gone through what we had to go through in order to just now be able to call our own shots. After all these years, I don't think that there's another woman on the planet who would have risked everything that I risked and that I had our family risk. But now, and again, folks, we're just at the beginning. We had this conversation also because we're like, if we're not careful and we don't put people in the right place and we don't have to surround ourselves with the right team, it's not just us. Like, we have a really good team, right? And we've been surrounding ourselves with really good people, and we have other people that we're considering bringing in as a team. And it's really about making sure that we continue to always remember that we don't have to apologize.
Absolutely.
Because of all the shit that we've been through to get here. And so we want to share our list with you so that you will write down your list of all the shit. I'm just going to keep saying it over again. All the shit that you went through to get to where you are, even if you're not where you want to be, you still went through some shit to get where you are. You want to add anything?
No, I think you put it quite nicely. I will say that to be real, it's disheartening. And we never want to be those individuals who have to hold in who we truly are for the sake of our own safety. Safety personally, but also business wise. And like someone said earlier, it's evident more so now than ever that we need to create boundaries and understanding that this person is providing a service for us.
DJ,
and they're not.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and they're not.
You would want to know this. He's standing in front of the FAMU torch, whatever that is.
Yes. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
We'll see if BCU gets one. But yes.
What Bean says is, I ran the Australian federal election for the Progressive Party, and Ben is speaking to my soul right now. Kindness and cutthroat, my life right there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's like I said. It's just disheartening because we are naturally kind people, and we want to. And we want to be helpful, so that individuals will get a step up, 1 or 2 steps up, or whatever it may be, so they don't have to go through the same hardships that we have.
Right.
But now realizing that in doing so, we're going to have to set boundaries.
Yeah. Dustin Brown says, man, I'm 33 and nowhere. It's real hard. Real hard. Bruh,
Listen.
I'm 40. Okay.
Hello.
She's 50.
This is why I love him oh so much. That's another story for another day.
She's
But
41.
yes, I am
Okay,
40.
she's old. I married an older woman.
8 months, not even a whole year. Anyways, yeah, we didn't
What?
really get started until 30.
Get started. No, we didn't get married to 30.
We didn't get married to 30.
That's when the
First
journey
child was
began.
at 31. Yeah,
The journey began at 30. We didn't really get nowhere until
last year.
February of this year.
In the last
Yeah.
year.
Within the last year.
40th.
So
We're coming to Jesus moments.
the only, and this is what this list is about. So can we get to the list? Let's get to the list.
We made therapy.
So no, I just want to say, Dennis, we've been married 10 years, and it's not more. What years? What years is this? 2020, right?
Yes, but it depends on
Which day we count? Well, either way, it's still 10.
No, because December 6th will be 11.
Is it? Are we in November?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
We're closer to 11. We're closer to 11. I don't need to know all that stuff. We'll tell everybody. We have 2 wedding dates.
Yeah.
We eloped and then got married publicly. So anyway, there you go. Here is the list of all the shit that we've been through that will make us never apologize. Well, at the end was after all we've been through. We still got after all that I've been through.
I was going to say that sounds like
I still got joy. Basha.
Not today.
So number 1, this is a great place to start. The lights were. I told them this already. When you first came over to my house, my lights were cut off. Now that was really an oversight. That wasn't because I didn't have money. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had enough to pay my light bill. It just so happens that on the first time you came to my apartment, I forgot to pay my goddamn light bill. So it really wasn't setting a good stage for things to come, all things considered. We ready? We want to admit to number 2? I mean, we in here now.
Yeah. Listen,
I'll let you read
everything
number
that's
2.
in here, everything that's on this list is our life, it's our journey. It's made us who we are. So I'm not offended or embarrassed because we're sitting here with you all now and telling the story. And if nothing else from this conversation, we hope that somebody realizes that what you see now is not where we started by any means.
And what you see now is not even where we're gonna be, right? The Lord keep.
How long have I been going?
Construction venture completed.
Alright, what you got? Mining. Alright, colonize the planet. Now I have 2 planets. No.
Construction venture completed.
Strolls.
What is Leafy Watt playing?
Max.
The situation log has been amended.
Okay, so
A study has been completed.
alright. So better outposts. Army damage, but minerals increase. Bracking. Planetary build speed.
Bacon it. Bacon it. Alright, we're back. What's up? How long have we been going? Why do I have to go online? I think I've been drawn for a little bit over an hour. Made a lot of progress, but let's finish up his eyes at least. Everyone gets pupils. It's so chilly down here. I was listening to the Ben Dixon podcast. Him and his wife.
And the universe keep opening the windows and stuff. You know what I mean? I actually have more than blue shirts in my closet because my wife has been clowning. See, I ain't worried about y'all on the internet clowning me for wearing my blue shirts every damn day. My wife clowns me for wearing my blue shirts every day, but then she always hangs them right up in the closet in the corner. I'm like, oh, I got another blue shirt, and there it is.
Well, that's because I know blue is your favorite color.
Yes, I have
You
a
had
problem.
blue car, you had blue shirts, you had blue shoes.
I got blue shoes. They're not suede.
Like Pete the Cat. Anyways.
Anyway, so number 2.
So number 2, living with
Your parents.
my parents for 2 years with a
Mr. Ross. We can pay you back now. Go next one. President asked first.
So once we got, so when you think about opportunities that come your way, you don't necessarily think about the highs, the hows, the wins, and the whats. Like I said, we moved in with my parents for 2 years. Then we decided that well, I needed to go back to work because I couldn't sit at home. Anyways,
But it was really cool how we decided. So I had been looking for work in one industry in Florida while we were living with her parents, and that just wasn't working for us. And so I looked at her and I said, "Babe, where's your resume? Let's get you out there." And so I got her resume. I tweaked, but I twerked that resume, and I sent her resume out to the first round of schools, and she got at least 2 interviews, Ivy League schools. She got a couple of interviews from those Ivy League schools, and I like to say I got her at Harvard, but I didn't. But it was the resume that I tweaked for her.
He's planted the seed.
And then she got the job at Harvard, and I was like, shit, it ain't working on me. I'm like, my stuff ain't working. Of course we're going to Boston. And so we went to Boston, but we had no money.
We didn't realize the cost of living.
Well, I had an idea. I knew what it was. I knew because I had to get the apartment, and I knew what we were getting into, and I knew that it was going to be tight, and my God, was it ever the tightest years of our life, which takes us to number 4.
The first Christmas in Boston was so depressing because we spent everything plus what we borrowed
just to get there.
And
Get the apartment and get the rent paid. A
Mm-hmm.
little shithole. You want to talk about shithole countries? No, we had a shithole apartment. And it was costing us, by the time we left there, we were paying $2,300 a month for a raggedy 2-bedroom apartment. $2,300 a month. So
we didn't have Christmas for the kids.
It was
wasn't
sad.
for parents and godparents and family. They wouldn't have had a Christmas. We had a little $5 Target Christmas tree that was a little tabletop, little itty bitty. So much so that the ornaments would knock the tree over. That's how heavy. But the kids, they didn't know anything.
they had toys from Mr. and Mrs. Rose.
Yes.
And you know what he said? And I'm gonna do my best. I'm a crying ass.
I will show you this.
He said a couple days ago, because I was like, I had her call him up and say, hey, send me your bank account number and we gon' pay what we owe. And he was like, he doesn't have to apologize for being late because we're how many years late now?
We went in with
13.
So 7 years later.
7 years late, and he was like, he didn't care about it being late because he knew that if my father was still alive, that he would have been doing the same thing. So,
And that your dad would be proud of
what we're doing now. So, Mr. Rawls.
And so we've been lucky. We've been blessed to have people in the right place to kind of
look out for us.
to help, and we want to in turn do the same thing.
Now, when we got to Boston and had that depressing ass Christmas, we still were coming up short, and I had to reach out to a coworker who I'm not going to name his name, but he knows who he is from Jacksonville, and
So let's backtrack.
Yeah.
Before you even go there, there was no Benjamin Dixon show.
right.
He was a school teacher in Jacksonville.
Right. School teacher in Jacksonville, and I reached out to a colleague because we were just
Who's watching
it just
on
wasn't
Twitch?
coming together. We had borrowed money to get to Boston.
Who said
It wasn't
something to
coming
me?
together, and ends weren't meeting. So I called.
What up,
my
Leafy
friend,
Wah?
coworker.
Nothing much, I'm drawing.
He gave me a loan.
I was asking you on your channel what was that you were doing on your channel? I did you even notice I was hosting your channel? Leafy, you are?
Sure enough, I got it to him on time with interest, but I still really appreciated that because it helped us connect the dots. Then, number 5, driving to the.
So, although up north is great for public transportation, like they have everything. They have the commuter train, they have the subway, they have buses.
But it's expensive.
It is entirely too expensive, but it is what it is. They've been doing it for umpteen years. We didn't take into consideration that certain things wouldn't be in place with my job until I met that probationary period, right? So Ben and the two kids, brand new baby, had to get up with me every morning because we couldn't afford the commuter train.
I blocked your ass, by the way, A1. Go ahead.
Oh, um,
We had to drive from South Shore
yeah,
to the outer skirts of the city to drop you at the subway
the subway.
because we couldn't afford the commuter train.
Yeah,
So anybody from
every day,
every day
and pick me up.
and pick her up. And when I came back in the snow, I used to have to carry a newborn with one arm. And I might be big, but I'm a small frame dude. And I was struggling with that newborn while holding my 3-year-old by that time, or two and a half year old.
Yeah.
In the other arm, carrying them up the stairs, and I think that might have been the first time I saw a bicep cut in my arm after doing that.
So yeah, it was interesting. We had to learn how to maneuver and pivot. I feel like.
Oh, I'm
Let me
sorry.
hold the paper.
Okay, you hold the paper. That was number 5 actually. So number 6, I took a job overnight. I was working an overnight job. It was. I've already told you.
Hearing the way they struggle is kind of like cathartic, because like I haven't experienced that, but I swear like I need to hear this.
I was logged in and I was able to work from home, but that overnight shift was up.
And it was still during the time period when we had to get up
Right.
and take me to the subway.
So by the time I got off work, I was going downstairs to drive you to the city, and then I would come home, and I still would have to stay. I don't know how I was sleeping, because when we first did this, they were in daycare. We couldn't afford daycare, and then finally I got my first couple checks, and then we put them in daycare. But I was doing, I guess that's why I can do what I do now, because I would work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., drive you to the city, come home, bring the kids upstairs, pretend like I was teaching them something, but at the end of the day, I was like, y'all just lay there, sit still, let daddy close his eye for a few seconds. And that's when Lizzie drank hand sanitizer. And I called the poison control, and they were like, well, she might just get a little tipsy, but she'll be all right. So,
Exactly.
all right. Number 7.
3 jobs.
Oh, well, I kind of described that. That's when I started doing the Benjamin Dixon show, and I still did it with having 2 other jobs, working overnight and doing freelance consulting. Go ahead.
Then,
Number 8.
in the midst of all of that, I'm working, he's doing 3 jobs, the kids are doing what they're doing. We still could not make ends meet.
Right.
And this is also trying to pay back student loans, and they call until they get their coins, right? So a couple of times I had to borrow from my 401k.
Every time.
Well, like once a year. To kind of cushion where we were as far as living expenses. Like we weren't going out. We didn't have time to go out because we had no family there.
Right.
We were literally there by ourselves. There was no, hey, Ma, can you watch the kids? Or,
Because we were so far away from
at least 17 hours.
I'm texting, guys. Sorry, but the podcast is so interesting. I like the podcast. It's making me smile. Whoops. Hearing their struggles just makes me feel better about my shit. Like, I don't know. It's definitely a term for it, but I enjoy it so much. Where were we? Actually, I need to add a green circle here. I remember that green circle needs to be here.
If we were in, we didn't even talk about the fact that we drove back and forth from Florida to Boston 4 times
Within like a month.
to complete the move. Yeah. But then when we were up there, like as much as they supported us to get up there financially, we had nobody to drop the kids off to.
Absolutely. And so I'm grateful we had no major issues that required the need of family.
Right. We survived.
Benjamin, he was, with the throat and everything. Remember when he was sick and he used to get the strep throat?
Oh, the fevers. Oh my God, the nonstop fevers. My son started having fevers at 2. And on his second birthday, he had a serious fever. And man, we went to the hospital so many times.
Yeah, and they couldn't figure out.
And never found out. And then but one doctor said that this happens sometimes, and then it just goes away.
But imagine doing that and having to work. And having to go to the community. Like, we had no one, so we just had to figure out how to make it work. And just do head down and push through.
Pushing through. Which brings us to leaving. Child care. I mean, yes. Child care was more expensive.
$22,000.
No, $2,200 a month.
No, I'm talking about the year.
The year was whatever 22 a month is times 12. Don't ask me to do the math, but it was a lot. 24. Somebody do the math for us.
I don't know. It was a whole college tuition.
It was private for child care, folks.
And
see,
but no, that's just child care. That doesn't include the diapers. Doesn't include the food that you gotta bring and the extra clothes. It includes none of that. And then they want to have a little bells and whistles like the little events or whatever. Then you come out of pocket for that.
Right. They didn't even feed them babies for $22,000. But there was this one year. I'm gonna tell about that year. There was this one year where we transitioned from the child care to this quasi public school system. My son was he was in kindergarten, so he was in public school. My daughter was in another pre-K, and we were supposed to be paying. And I constantly was like, okay, well, we will apply for assistance. And so we applied for assistance, but they never did the paperwork. And on God, I asked them every month because I did not want to get to the end of the year. I did not want to get to the end of the year, and they told me I owe them $10,000. They ain't never sent us not a bill. They ain't never sent us not.
Only do it.
like we tried. I've got the email thread to this day. And don't come asking me now, even though I can afford to pay you now. We tried to pay you then, but before that it was like just nonstop, not paid before because childcare was so expensive. So we were caught in. We weren't even in the middle class trap. We were in the lower, like upper working class, at best upper working class. Then we moved. I got an offer here in Atlanta, and this is what because you got pregnant. And we just did the math.
It wasn't gonna work.
It wasn't gonna work.
And because seasoned, or the medical term is geriatric pregnancy. Because I was pregnant after the age of 35. I think I was 38.
Yeah.
With Jeremiah. And in the past, I've had gestational diabetes.
So I told you it was more than 22. It was 26,400 a year. For child care.
Yeah. But so once we found out I was pregnant, we were like, okay, we got to think about this. How are we gonna make this work?
And it just wouldn't. It was not going to work because in between all of this, I had to. If you want to know why I'm a socialist, it's because of our story. I'm not a socialist because of theory. Even though the theory bears out, I'm a socialist because at every single point we couldn't catch a damn break. Because, watch this, when my son went to kindergarten, he was starting to get out of school at 2 o'clock. And at least with childcare, it was costing us damn near $30,000 a year, but they could keep him to 6. which meant we had time to get back from the city on the train, take the subway, get the commuter train, and get back. And I promise you, we used to hit the corner on two wheels. We're coming. We would hit it, and we always managed to get them at 5:59.
Yeah.
Well, shit. When he started going to public school, he was out at 2:00, and we looked at each other and we were like, one of us got to leave our jobs. Because I was still doing the Benjamin Dixon show at night, but by that time I had got promoted. I was down. I was at the corporate office. I wasn't working from home no more. I was, putting on my nice little suit, and then I realized, oh, y'all don't dress like that. So then I started wearing my flip flops and sandals like the rest of the white boys, and just blended in with the prep crowd, right?
All right, so now I'm like kind of conflicted because there's a few things I want to change.
They buy like 1,000 boxes of pizzas, and it was like HubSpot was the dopest time of my corporate life. She liked to go. I snuck her in one weekend with my car.
To be honest,
I had to go there.
Well, no, it was that, but yeah, but no, they used to have family.
I'm conflicted, and I'm a little bit distracted.
We were at the mall across
But like,
and I said, let's go to the
a
office.
big part of
Get something from my desk, and we went
pause
to the
this.
cafeteria.
This is a teachable moment. All right, when you have reached your limit, how do you go beyond your limit? How do you do your Super Saiyan shit? Like, you have to build stamina. Stamina, guys. You have to see something that is stressing you out, figure out how to do it healthy. But you have to push past it. You need is stamina. You gotta see something that you want to see fixed, and like, you just look at it long enough, and you'll do the work. But don't waver. Don't let the fatigue or mindless self-indulgence wear you down or deteriorate you. Take a break if you have to. We can do that. In fact, let's not do that. Actually, let's do that because it's been an hour. So let's stretch out a little bit. Has it been an hour? It's definitely been an hour. Let me see. When did I start texting? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we've been going. So let's hit the be right back. I'll see you guys in a second. Let's take a little breather. Shout out to the 2 people watching. I know that's Leafy One, somebody else. All right, we're back. Did I get up? Did I move? The world will never know. Let's get back to the podcast.
We just
Some of the tea and and some of the
these were our dates because we had nobody to watch the kids.
Well, we only
So
did
had
that
to
once.
sleep.
Now, husband, we only got you one
But
time.
I mean, we would meet during the day because we had the kids. In the
Oh yeah, we dated in Boston on our lunch break.
Yeah.
I would leave and catch the
All right, let's do
subway,
some shading,
go to
man.
Harvard, and we would meet up.
Let's not delay the
20
inevitable.
minutes, exactly. And then we rush back to our offices because we knew once we got home we didn't have anybody to watch the kids. All right. So the reason I am a socialist is because at every turn we couldn't catch a break. And when Benjamin went to kindergarten, we one of us had to leave our jobs because there was no way we could get back to get them at 2:15 if we're working in the city. So we came to Boston for her job. So I left my job, corporate job, that I still love to this day, and probably would still be there right now. So maybe I should thank capitalism for pushing me out, because now I can talk my socialism shit for a living. And so I love HubSpot, and then we lost a whole income, right? It was a brand. The Benjamin Dixon show wasn't making any money. I think I was definitely paying more money than, but I was able to take care of the kids, so I was daddy daycare again. And lo and behold, you got pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, all through this time, mind you, we've had marriage problems at every step of the way. Marriage problems at every step of the way, but we were always good.
With the kids.
We were good. We were good partners, right?
Friends.
Friends. We were good friends, and we were always going to do what we needed for the kids. And so, even though we were having marital problems all along the way, we stuck it out because we had no choice.
Yeah.
We thousands of miles away from home. And then somehow, in the midst of our marital problems, she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
And we honestly, like quiet as it's kept, I want to put this one political thing out there in here. If you look at the data on abortions, you will see that there's a large percentage of people who are married, middle-aged, who have abortions because they cannot financially afford another child. And they are always attacking abortions because they want to make you think that it's some young, irresponsible person. So what if it is? That's their business. But we found ourselves, like, I don't even know if I ever brought it up to you. I think I hinted, like, and not that we were seriously considering it, but I remember telling you, I'm like, I can understand the data now. I can understand, because I hadn't been in the shoes, but I'm like, we want our kid, but what are we going to what are we going to do? Because we can't live here anymore.
Exactly. This is after you left
HubSpot. I had to leave a job to get my kids from public school, but then we get pregnant, and now we're going to have to put them in child care.
Even before the whole pregnancy, when you
Stamina, baby.
We could
Passion.
child care.
Right.
So then it was juggling. Okay, well,
Oh, wow. Interesting. Let's do all the red right now. We got a little bit of red. Sharing for red.
Man, I remember sitting in the kitchen in Boston, like, okay, well, what day? Okay, they'll go Tuesday and Thursday, and then we'll have the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or vice versa, because he was doing the Benjamin Dixon show.
She didn't just get pregnant, Ben. Someone else is involved. I might have had a little something to do with it. I don't miss.
I mean, you know.
I don't miss.
But we literally once again had to figure out how we're going to do. Like, it was a growing up Boston.
Boston was some growing up. There's some pivotal growing up moments in this narrative. Some I can't even say by name.
Yeah. But now a lot of our the way we move, the way we navigate life together, we know, okay, that's not that big of a deal because we've been through X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Or that's a trigger.
Yes.
We might want to pay attention to this.
Right. No, we know the alarms now. We know the alarms. So
Pregnant.
we were forced out of Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we couldn't afford where we're gonna go. So I took a job in Atlanta, and I moved to Atlanta to start getting some of that income, and I had to leave her in Boston pregnant with 2 kids, essentially by herself, but her mother came up.
Yes, so my mom came up, and she
Right.
was a huge help in the house.
But she wasn't gonna drive you to the city.
But my mom, she don't do the city. That's not her thing. So I still had to. And luckily, my job, I did love
Was
my
understanding.
job, and the people that I work with, they were understanding.
Right.
But I still had to get up and drop the kids off.
Right.
And then I had to spend. So at that time, I was working 1 week in the office, 1 week outside the office, pregnant, morning sickness, navigating.
And her husband is in Atlanta.
Husband is in Atlanta, so I'm doing it. No offense to you, I was doing it by myself.
By myself.
I'm sending you checks.
By myself.
They weren't
Physically,
big.
I needed you physically.
And the checks weren't that big. So
just take all of that into consideration.
yes. No. Oh,
Stress.
no. You told me. You told me. Okay. Because you
No,
know I did.
So
So I'm in Atlanta now. Mind you, I've talked to you, and she knows. I've talked to you guys about the party side of my life. That shit wasn't going on while I was at, because we had no money. Like literally no money. I was living in a college dorm. Right? It was a summer break, and somebody wanted to sublet their college dorm, and I was in that college dorm. Like, I'm a grown ass man, like with kids, with 2 degrees, 2 good degrees, and wasn't making any real money. All I could afford for those 3 months, because I still had to make sure rent was paid in Boston.
Yeah.
I still had to make sure everything was covered, make sure the light. I had 2 sets of utilities now, so I had to live in a college dorm, and that was some depressing time.
I appreciate you. I mean, I think we've said this before, all of this, but I will agree with him. He did make sure
Everything was taken care of.
everything was taken care of. Even me, physically and mentally, being pregnant and trying to navigate that whole situation,
Yeah.
and not having my husband with me was.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. If there was anything that ever broke me, man, I missed my family during those 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, boy, I just, when I got back to Boston to get y'all,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when I finally was like, and that was stage 1 of breaking me in. Stage 2 comes when we got to Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're here in Atlanta, and 3 month separation, living in a dorm in Atlanta. Jada was in Boston by herself with the kids.
So this is
This is why I would never stop fighting for a safety net for everybody.
Listen.
Everybody needs not just a safety net, but everybody needs a way to have children and to survive, even if you don't got a dime to your name. Because when we moved to Atlanta, we didn't have a dime to our name.
Listen.
Again.
Can I say, listen, I'm about to share this. This is where the list gets a little rough.
Yep.
So.
Personal.
Personal.
Listen,
once
you want me to say it?
No, No,
Okay,
no,
you
no.
see, all right.
I've moved past that point of
Being afraid to share.
being afraid, being embarrassed, and it's crazy because I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be embarrassed. That's what it's there for. What I'm about to tell you. So yeah, Ben moved here 3 months in advance of us. By
Right.
the time we got to Atlanta, okay.
Before we get to Atlanta,
Okay.
shout out to my brother-in-law.
Oh yeah,
My man drove, and shout out to Max also.
yeah,
Max, I don't know if you're watching. Max was my
Yeah.
my producer in Boston.
yeah.
But y'all saw my video from last night, and y'all saw how big I
Yeah.
was. I literally was too overweight to go up and down the steps by myself and
We
move
didn't
the
talk
house.
about that part of Boston.
About what?
How we used to those nights where you had to pick me up from the train station with the kids, and then we would go to the studio there,
Oh yeah.
and then we
And
would
they came
get
to the
home,
studio to and then we have to order food at the studio
Yep.
because that's when the show was starting to pick up.
and then we didn't get home till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes.
Yeah, with the
And
whole
that place
kids
was in a warehouse area.
in the warehouse district, but
Where
it was
homeless people.
it was well it
Dark.
was so well yeah.
No,
yes.
no, 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 no. I'm
Yeah.
just, but it was just.
It was
a sketchy-
not a it was a place for me, not a
Our
newborn.
family. Yeah.
Right. Period. Now, back to my brother-in-law. Shout out to my brother-in-law because he came up. I picked him up. This was after Charlottesville. I picked him up somewhere near Charlottesville, and we were riding behind this van that had some KKK stuff in the back. So shout out to my brother-in-law who was in the military, and who is in the military. And thankfully, he was in shaping up to get up and down the steps along with Max. I did a couple of moves, right? But the biggest thing I remember was we had everything budget. Moving from Boston to Atlanta, we had everything budget down to the penny. Except, y'all, I had no recollection. I did not recall how much gas a U-Haul drinks. And I had budgeted for gas, but I didn't realize that it was going to cost me damn near $800 in gas to get from Boston. And so when I looked at that gas tank and I went through the first $75 in the first 30 miles, I was like, oh shit, we're not going to make it to Atlanta. And two things, bruh. My brother-in-law looked at me and said, man, what you worried about? You gonna get to Atlanta. I'm gonna get you there. And I was like, thanks, dog. But even better, my wife said, babe, what you worried about? We still got that $400 in the Wells Fargo. Hey, oh, so I'm sitting
Creative.
I'm driving.
Structure. Creative.
I made the money,
Structure.
but she made sure that we had the money because I completely forgot. I was like, I budgeted. I did budget though.
Mm-hmm.
I did budget, but I just did not allocate for the amount of gas that freaking truck was going to guzzle. I underestimated it because it had been so long since we drove a U-Haul across the country. It had been 5 years or however long. So anyway, my brother-in-law just stepped in and gave me a reassurance, and I'm like, whew. But my wife has stepped in and be like, you forgot, we did have this over here, and that was even better. All right, so we made it to Atlanta.
So we made it to Atlanta, and
You were pregnant,
pregnant. So what?
and I was working for a small business.
June, July, August.
You were big.
Well, yeah. So I was about 5 months, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
give or take, when I got there. So here's the interesting point, or fact, because it's the true fact. Ben had no insurance. So
No health insurance.
none.
I had a job, and we had moved into Atlanta where our expenses were immediately cut in half.
Yeah, the cost of living
And
is so much better.
It was so much
There.
better there.
Yeah.
We're not good at this. We'll let you guys figure it out. And so we were able to make it on. Well, no, because as soon as we got here, I started doing the math. I'm like, this is not gonna make it. This is not gonna cut it. So I picked up a second job immediately when we got here, and then I picked up a third job playing music at a small church. And let me tell you, that small church that I was playing music for, like my goal in the money that we make now, I pay my tithes. The reason I pay my tithes is because these churches carried me. I remember there was one time you were over at your parents' house in Jacksonville, and I had nothing except for the check that they gave me that Sunday. And Walmart didn't want to cash that goddamn check. Forgive me, Lord. And I was about to turn because they cashed it the week before. They wouldn't cash it this week because I was at a different Walmart. In the white neighborhood, they cashed my check. In the black neighborhood, they didn't want to cash my check. And I was about to I was about to blow that place up. I'm telling y'all, the opposite side of Disney Dad is the man who's been through all this shit that I've been through, and I'm living on the edge. And so I was about to turn, and I honestly don't know how that story ended, except for I was able to cash it somewhere.
Yeah.
But it wasn't at that Walmart. I had to bite my tongue, walk out, and go cash my check because I was like, it was the racism on top of it because in the white neighborhood they didn't give me no problems the prior week. In the black neighborhood they would not cash the same damn check. All right, I'm still mad about that. But if I hadn't had that check from the small church that I was playing for, I couldn't drive over to Jacksonville because I didn't have any gas. So before we finish, I want you to make sure, I want you to get to your point, but that's the kind of shit you need to have on your list of all the shit we went through to get here, and you can fill in the rest for whatever it is that so you don't have to apologize for shit. You don't have to apologize for nothing.
Yeah.
Your point.
So I got here, and like I said, no insurance. So now I have to navigate. First off, let me just be honest and be transparent. That stressed me out.
Yes.
That made me nervous. One, because with all 3 pregnancies, I've had high-risk pregnancies. So I already knew that I was going to need a perinatologist. I already knew I was going to be checked triple time for stress levels and gestational diabetes and weight gain and all the preeclampsia, all these different things. And I'm just like, I'm in a new place. I don't know anybody per se. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to find a doctor.
Without insurance.
Without insurance.
Which is another reason I'm a socialist. Because there should be nobody on the face of this planet, definitely in this country, whoever has to make that goddamn decision.
So now, Ben's doing his thing and he's working. I'm pregnant with the 2 kids, trying to navigate that whole thing. So what else can I do but apply for Medicaid? And let me put a pause on that. That whole Medicaid process is for the birds. What you have to do and how they treat you and how they make you feel, it's ridiculous. Like literally I came in August, and being the person of structure and rules and regulations,
You were doing the work.
I was doing it. And I don't think I had my first appointment until September or October.
And you're right. That you were at the end of the 2nd trimester there.
Yeah. So imagine me being at this time I'm a 3rd-time mom. I'm kind of, I know the works of the prenatal vitamins and doing this and doing that. But imagine being a first-time mom, trying to navigate that and not knowing, the ins and outs of being pregnant. And so I'm constantly calling people, don't call me back. They accidentally hang up on me.
They act like they doing you a favor.
Exactly. And I'm like, I just want the bare minimum. Just let me get to the doctor so that I can make sure that my child is growing healthy.
I can't tell you this time of night.
Within me, and that I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm dealing with all these stresses, and I have to navigate that whole system.
Right.
And so finally, after hounding my caseworker, and going to the office a couple of times and standing in a ridiculous line that you have to be there at the wee hours of the morning before they even open.
Right. Excuse the extra large one here. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was gonna be that big. Shout out to my boy Marcus. He's from FAMU too.
Oh, hey, Rattler.
Okay.
But yeah, just having to navigate that, and then when you have all of your paperwork, and then you get this notice that says, "Oh, but you don't have X, Y, and Z." I get to the window and I'm like, "No, I do." "Well, you need to go around the corner and da 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 da." And I'm like,
And it be your own people sometimes. I say one other thing? I don't mean to cut you off here, but when you said your belly, I remember how much the church we found loved on you because of your belly. And one of the reasons, I promise you, one of the reasons we stay together as a couple, because we ain't got to that.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons all jokes aside, like I had a summer that was going to take me out. And one of the reasons it didn't take me out was because we had a faith community that helped sustain us. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So imagine standing in a long line, and you can't get out of line. It's not like, oh, you can have a seat, or oh, you can go, go and come back, because that ain't gonna happen. But I'm having to stand in line, pregnant. By this time, I'm probably 6 months, right? And so you're going through all these different things, and I'm still dealing with the emotion that I no longer have a job. I don't have benefits. I have 2 other kids. My husband is here dealing with he's dealing with. So it's all these different things that were going on, and it was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
But at the end of the day, as demoralizing as it was, and it was shameful, right? Because we come right. Yeah. We come from, like, I come from middle class, lower middle class. What am I for? I come from lower middle class, upper working class. That's where I grew up, and I had government assistance growing up all my life anyway. So, but we had a glimmer of we might can make it out, and then it got snatched right back from underneath us, and we're now, for the first time in our marriage, on public assistance.
Yeah.
And that shit.
Well, because you
just breaks you down.
You're taught that you go to school, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get these degrees, and you're gonna get this awesome job, and you're gonna make the world a better place, and certain things don't apply to you until you get there, and you're like, oh shoot.
Yep. This is all within the last 4 years, Nick. This is in the Trump administration, and so go ahead.
No.
But so then you got to keep the facade.
Yeah.
Right? You got to keep the forward-facing facade for social media.
Yeah.
And in reality, like, I was doing a lot of posting about politics, and it's probably why I was so pissed off back. If you were following me about 4 years ago, I was angry on Twitter all the goddamn time. I was cussing everybody out. Everybody was a motherfucker this. Everybody's a motherfucker that. Everybody, it didn't matter, because I was taking out. I was right. I was right, and I was trying to be rational and stuff, but it had a level of venom that mirrored what we were going through.
Yeah, and I think I was the opposite. I was the opposite. I have a tendency to hold those emotions in, and so I wasn't really posting anything. I was just like, I'm just gonna be in my own little bubble,
right?
Living life. I'll post a little picture here and there, actually, a lot of people, except for our family, our immediate family, like his side, his sisters, and mom and brother, and then my side, nobody knew that I was pregnant. Nobody knew.
Early on.
Yeah, early on.
That's what they could see by
They
the time we
didn't
got to
know.
Atlanta.
Yeah, they didn't know. We did a little photo shoot.
Oh, yeah.
That was how they knew that we had the.
But your mom, obviously.
Yeah.
Nikki wants to know, what about the Affordable Care Act? Was it not enrollment time? It wasn't enrollment time. My enrollment time was November, but you don't get insurance till January, and Jeremiah was born in January, so they were no assistance to us. But I had, by the time Obamacare came around again, I had my 3rd job, and I was able to get his Obamacare for that year, for the first 4 months, and then I couldn't afford it anymore. Anyway, so it was demoralizing, but we did it, and even though it was demoralizing, it was like, it was a relief too, because by the time we got to the doctor, I'm gonna tell you who treated us like we were paying them first class.
Before you get to that, I will bring up, because you mentioned your upbringing and where you are. I had a conversation with Ben's mom, and I was just so frustrated. I was just angry. And once again, I didn't want to let my family know that I was going through the things that I was going through, and it's crazy, right? You would think you could do that, but I once again had that facade of, I'm Jada, I went to school, I went to college.
We both had master's degrees.
Exactly, I had 2.
We both had master's. She had 2, I had 1, and I was all but dissertation. Like,
I felt like a disappointment, and it's crazy, but I felt like a disappointment to my family, And anyways, I had, the opportunity to talk to his mom, and she was like, "You don't be ashamed of nothing." If I can say it like, "How be it so ever."
How be it so ever is a phrase.
She said, "You don't be ashamed of nothing. You are giving life. So whatever it is that you need to do, however you need to handle your business, do that."
Yep.
And sometimes you just need that permission. It's crazy, but sometimes you just need that permission for somebody to say it's okay.
It's okay.
But then also learning to give not to wait on the other person to give you permission. Give your own self permission. Right. Go ahead.
The doctor.
Yeah.
And the staff.
Yes.
At Emory.
Yes.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They treated us like they didn't even know.
Exactly.
Like they treated us like they would treat us now.
Exactly. And it was like once I was in the system and I chose the doctor that I chose, her whole team, if I can remember her name, but they were awesome. I have to tell Ben later so he can tell you all. But they were awesome, and the perinatalogist, same thing.
Yep.
He was awesome. Like literally, they made us feel like everybody else, regardless of your status or social economic status.
I don't know that they even knew we were on Medicaid. Did they know?
I don't know.
There was no special identification.
They do. They did.
Well, damn it, they treated us like we had the best insurance in the world, and God bless them.
Because believe me when I tell you, they check to make sure that bill is paid.
That's true.
Every time. But they made sure that we were informed. They made sure that we had the information that we needed. So much so that the perinatalogist. So I had towards the end of our pregnancy, like I said once again, high risk pregnancy. I was going to deliver. I was scheduled for a C-section.
Right.
I've always been scheduled for a C-section because I've had big babies. I just have big babies.
Babies with big heads.
Big heads. Big heads and broad shoulders.
They got my back head
and my forehead. You can tell
my shoulders.
And so
not a single one came naturally.
None. So it wasn't for cosmetic reasons. Trust me. I had a whole birth plan. No, they were like, yeah, that's not going to happen naturally for you. So I just come to grips with it. Anyways, so I was already due a week prior to the actual delivery date because they want to make sure that you're not going to go in active labor before the C-section.
And you went in for an appointment.
So I went in for an appointment.
Friday.
Friday, he remembers. Max was here. And so I went in, I'm like, Miss Independent, I got this. I got there. And I could tell it was something a little different about the person doing the ultrasound. Like, she was like, but they can't tell you anything. That they're not allowed to. But she did make it a point to tell me that, Jeremiah's lungs were good and they were moving.
Right.
So anyways, I'm going into the office. And he was like,
they told you.
Are you here by yourself?
Right.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we're going to admit you. And I'm like,
for what? Because you're going to have the baby today.
Because apparently my amniotic fluid was low.
Right.
And so they didn't want to chance holding out any longer for him. I know, it's just hard.
It's easy to look at yourself.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And so Ben, friend Max came from Boston.
Producer from Boston came down to check out what we were working on.
They had just made it to Marietta.
We had just made it to, so it don't matter now because we're not in Marietta anymore. Exactly. We made it to the studio, and there's a video actually on YouTube if you want to see it. I'm like, hey, no show today. The baby's on the way.
I'm calling him. Well, luckily my mom came early, just for this type of scenario where it was like, okay, if he's 45 minutes away from me.
She was already in town, right?
She was already in town, but she wasn't supposed to come until the following week.
Right, she came early.
And so, thanks to you, because you were like, I just don't feel right leaving you at the house by yourself. So anyways, I'm literally calling Ben. I'm like, hey, what you doing? And he's like, oh, I just made it. I said, well, I'm going to need you to come back.
Right.
I'm going to need you to come back because they're about to do the C-section. He was like, well, when? I said, I don't know.
I just got on the road. And what was great was everything fell in line. I don't care what you believe, what you don't believe. I can give you. God be looking out for us, y'all. Now, if you don't believe God, that's cool. The universe be looking out for us, y'all. Because her mother was not going to drive from our house to the city downtown to and help with, because like she was dope enough for just being there. So thank you, Nana.
Yes.
Right? But Max was in town and he was able to do all that. And he was not, I mean, the baby was supposed to come for the next week. So it's like the universe just lines stuff up. And he just, I mean, won't he do it? Yes. Won't he will? Let me tell you. So anyway, when I see like how things line up and stuff has been like really, really hard. And we, cause it's 1:00 in the morning. Oh, we get an extra hour sleep tonight.
Oh yeah.
Hey. We good.
So I guess it's right on time.
Yeah, it's right on time. So anyway, that was our journey coming to Boston. Now check this out. Coming to Atlanta. Check this out. Everything that we told y'all. The company that moved us down, or they didn't even move us down here. The company we came down here for. Jeremiah was born in January. They shut down the whole goddamn business in February. And so I'm going to speed up the story a little bit. Is this Max for real? Max, are you on Twitch? Max, if that's you, text me. You got my number. Hang on. Text me if that's really you, and I'll give you a shout out. I'll put your handle on the board. But anyway, they shut down the whole damn bit. So now I've got a new baby in a new city. All I had at that point, the only income I had at that point was from the Benjamin Dixon Show and our patrons.
And then,
and the little church that I found to play for.
But to be transparent, once again, and we have these moments, and he'll share his, imagine being a mom of 3. You left Harvard University on a wing and a prayer for a company that shut down
after the baby comes. Now, no harm, no foul.
No. It's not even about the company, but it's just
like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Really?
Like, and let me add on top of that, and my women in the audience will know, it's a struggle to try to find a job while you're pregnant. It's definitely a struggle trying to find a job after you're pregnant. So that wasn't even in my cards.
Right.
So I couldn't even help contribute anything.
Right.
And now you tell us you're going to close your business, like...
But look at God. Look at the universe, y'all. Listen, again, I don't know what you believe. I'm totally cool. You ain't got to believe nothing I believe. But the weekend they shut us down, I had a speaking engagement down in South Florida.
Yep.
And then I ended up making one speaking engagement, turned to 2 speaking engagements, and then we had enough money from that weekend to survive about a month.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing about this type of lifestyle. If you understand this type of lifestyle, having enough money to last a month is a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because sometimes it's like, do I have enough money to last a week?
Yeah.
So when I tell you that I'm fighting for a certain set of things, it's from my trauma, our trauma, a sensitive place in us that if you let us, we would cry right now.
Absolutely.
Because it was so traumatizing.
Absolutely.
While
eyes are sweating now.
Cognizant of the fact that as tough as it was for us, we were still blessed. And there were people who probably would give anything to be in our shoes.
Absolutely.
So, there you go. That was my winter, spring, and summer of discontent. And if it wasn't for my brother stepping in and giving me some money to hold over and connect the dots, unemployment, I was on unemployment. It is a demoralizing process. They sit you in a room and make you watch this video about why it's bad to steal unemployment benefits. The whole time, the radical in me was like, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground. Fuck, excuse me, man. I'm sorry, but you were trying to dehumanize me at the point where I'm on edge already.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the opiate of the masses, I don't care. It's a good thing we got church. Because if I didn't have church, I'd be in jail. Okay? Or dead. Or both. I don't know how that works. But the point is I'm sorry, I needed some opiate for the masses at that point. I needed something to calm me and soothe me, to keep me at peace before I go out here and snap the heads and the necks of these people who are lecturing me at my lowest point. I'm in Atlanta without a job, with a newborn baby. Yeah. And you making me watch videos and telling me about how bad it's gonna be if you steal health insurance benefits. I said, bitch, I will kill you. It was a guy. You ain't gonna cancel me. So,
but I think also in addition, I know.
I'm sorry. It's a tough.
So
spot.
This is a case in point. Like you all, well, I don't know about Ben. He may do this with you all, but we typically don't live in that world of anger. But there is a side to us that we try to push down, because once it's released, it's a whole nother situation.
So I try to tell people the yin to my yang, y'all. I try my best to be Disney dad, but my wife literally had to keep me from engaging in a form of protest that probably would have started a civil war here, because I was angry. And my wife was able to walk me back from the edge, not by talking me down, but by looking at me like, boy, is you crazy? You still black now. Don't forget that you black. It ain't gonna play out the way you want to tell them no more. Don't tell them everything. Don't tell them no more.
No, it's just because I just had to pull at the heartstrings a little bit, just saying, like, who do you want your kids to
remember? Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Be bigger than this.
I want them to remember me as the man who tried his best to be good, but if these people don't, I'm trying to tell y'all, if you can identify with the obvious rage and trauma that you can see in our eyes and feel in our voices, there are people who haven't made it out from where we made it out of.
Exactly.
They ain't gonna be as patient as I've been and as she's been.
Yeah. And so, to go back to that summer, unemployment, barring
working to build a business.
We're gonna build a business, but wait.
All right, guys. It's 1 o'clock. So I have completed my task.
She would help with groceries.
So you guys have it, man.
Yeah.
Come up.
Push that extra hour. Got the navy blue done. Proud of myself.
Basically,
Proud of you guys for sticking around too. But it's been real. You guys take care of yourself. I wonder if my mic's on. It is. Cool. I'm gonna finish this podcast on my own. It's the Benjamin Dixon podcast on YouTube. Check it out. You guys take care of yourselves.